Hi, everyone in the Soulful Goddess. This is Leah Vanderlinden here, coming to you to talk to you about how to build a spiritual altar in your own home. So, when you hop on, please say hi below in the comments so that I know that you're watching this. I know that you found value in this, and this is something the group would love to see more of. So, let's go ahead and start talking about what is an altar. And when you hop on, let me know, are you familiar with an altar? Have you ever used one? Have you ever built an altar? Talk to me. Are you guys familiar with altars? Let's see how much you guys really know about them. So I was requested to come in and do a live about what I know. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Marcia. About altars. And I'm going to be honest, I just built one for me because I wanted to really use it to release emotional wounds. And I wanted to use it to really talk to God and to let go and use it as literally like an altar. Okay. Hi, Sean. So I know there are proper ways or technical ways or ways that respect other cultures on how they personally build an altar. I am going to tell you what I personally do and what has worked for me. So Tracy said my energy coach says I should have one. Yes, and this energy coach is saying, even though I'm not your I'm saying I agree. You most certainly should, because that's another thing that I use it for, is just to release that old stagnant emotional energy. Marcia said, I am familiar with them and I want to build a new one. Perfect. Misty, hi, long time no see. Oh, good. Well, I'm so glad you'll come back and watch it. So, there are all kinds of different altars that you can have, okay? I don't want you to be intimidated. Most of us have stuff in our home already that we can use to create an altar. Latoya said, I know about them. It is a part of my womb work to build one. Look at all these people hopping on, popping on that are getting ready to build an altar. So what a perfect time that we would do this live. There are things that you probably already have around the house that you could use for an altar. It doesn't have to be this big, elaborate, fancy, smancy, expensive thing. Now, I picked up some stuff that I already have. This was my father's step stool when he was a little boy, okay? You can use a step stool like this, like a little wooden step stool you would use for a toddler. Perfect. Because you can slide under here if you need to. You can place things on top of here. We'll talk about that. What I like to use is this old school, anybody remember these? TV tray. It's a TV tray. Okay, or an art board. Or some of these are like the dry erase boards and then they have the chalkboard thing right underneath it. Perfect for my altar. So this is what I use, and it's normally in my room, and that's what I use for mine. You can use it where you have a pillow that you set on the floor to make it a little bit more comfortable. You can have it to where you set on a yoga mat. It's really what's comfortable for you, okay? Oh, she said how beautiful and sentimental. So what I want to talk to you about is the ladies who've already used an altar or have an altar. What do you use as your altar? Some people use literally like an old basket with a lid. Some people use an old dresser or an old chest. You can even use a box and put a piece of fabric over it. Let's hear in the comments, what do you guys personally use for your altar? This can give some people some other ideas what to do if they may not know what to make their altar out of, right? If they already have one. You can even buy one of those little inexpensive coffee tables from Walmart that's like a little circle and it has 3 legs and you put it together and they're like $10. That would be a great one too. So yeah, I would love to hear in the comments, what do you guys currently use for yours? Michelle said, I use my desk. I love that. Great idea. So what we're going to do is talk about creating your space. So when you are trying to decide where you want to have your spiritual altar. What I suggest to you is to have it in a sacred space where it's not going to be a high traffic area, where a ton of people are going to come in and maybe move what's on your altar, or even have their energy without meaning to affect your altar. Okay, so you want it to be in a space that is kind of off limits to the rest of the world. So I know a lot of people say don't use your bedroom. I personally use my bedroom. That's my sacred space. My bedroom is my sacred area. Michelle said she uses her nightstand. So yeah. And let's say that if you want it to be a little bit more private, because there are different altars that you can do, and I'm going to tell you about other altars you can do. You can do altars for meditation. You can do altars for manifestation, for love, for relationships, for money. I personally like doing mine for inner child work and healing generational trauma. And I also do one that's just an emotional releasing one. But you can have different altars for different reasons. Hi, Shamika. So if you're wanting it to be more of a sacred one where not a lot of people see it because it's one where you're really working on your relationship, then what you would do is maybe just have like, those partitions, or where you can place a partition around it to where it just blocks it off and it creates it safe for you, sacred for you, so that other people don't happen to get in there and use it. So Latoya said, I really like your idea of using a wooden step stool. Yeah, it's simple. Most of us already have it. And then it's just, it doesn't take up a ton of space. Sean said, my bedroom is my sacred space too. So perfect. So what I like to do first before I ever create an altar is try to also figure out, my first step is going to be figuring out where I want that altar to be. Where is this going to be a place where when I'm in this room, I feel at peace, I feel at ease, I feel unstoppable, I feel surrender. Okay, finding that area. The second is going to be where, what is really calling to me to put on this altar. Okay, and we'll go into that a little bit more. The third is really cleansing that space. And before you get to use your altar, right? You want to make sure that this room, the energy has been cleansed. Whatever items you're using have been cleansed. If they're a gift, of course you want them to be cleansed, right? But you also want to set the intentions in these things you're using. If you're going to place a piece of crystal on there like selenite, you want to set the intention of what you want this crystal to do when it comes to manifestation. Does that make sense? We all following along? Okay, so you're going to do that. You're going to find the place that feels right. You're going to cleanse the space, gather your objects. So I just grabbed everything that I love to have near me when it comes to building an altar. I love to have, this journal cracks me up every time I see it. My mom bought me this. I am a fucking goddess. I love to have a journal. So the reason why I also like having this handy dandy art stand like this that folds up is because underneath it, I can store stuff underneath it. So I always like to have a journal where if things come to my mind while I'm using this altar, I can journal and jot them down. So I always have a journal and a pen by my altar. I personally, you guys know I love to use crystals. So whatever crystals I'm feeling drawn to when it comes to what I'm working on, I'm going to have some crystals that I've already set the intentions to of helping me heal whatever that is. I love to have a piece of fabric. This is a piece of fabric of a gift that was given to me by someone that's very special. So I love this this scarf anyway, because the white to me represents purity. The blue represents to me speaking my truth, right? So there's all kinds of things that this symbolizes to me. So then you would just place your piece of fabric over your sacred space, just kind of creating that beautiful ambiance, okay? I love to have, so like when I'm working on doing a family altar, what I mean by that is if I'm wanting to release healing around my family, then this is going to be an altar where when I'm seeing this altar, I pray when it comes to my family. I pray for my family to get along, to be able to communicate clearly, to let go of the past. Whatever it is I'm working on with my family, this altar, everything on this altar is going to be a reflection of that. So I would want to have a picture of my mom. Look how beautiful. My mom and my dad, when they were so happy, so in love, to remind me that I came from love, right? So I want these smiles on here so that when I'm praying over my family, I'm seeing things that remind me of what it is I'm seeking, okay? I would have pictures of me when I'm a little kid, of me smiling and laughing, so I can remember those. Having those pictures on my altar is going to help me connect even more to what it is I'm wanting. Okay, so I would have pictures. If you want pictures, you can have, let's say you're wanting to really manifest a new career, you're wanting to manifest money. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll have play money, like Monopoly money, sitting on my altar to just remind me how easy it is to get money. I'll have that money sitting there with a note of all the things I want to manifest when it comes to money and what we would do with that. So then I would have that sitting there, okay? So once again, I've got crystals that are reminding me of the things I want. So of course, if I'm doing a family altar, a relationship altar, I would want compassion, I would want love, I would want acceptance. So I'm going to have rose quartz sitting on my altar. I want clarity when it comes to my family. I want to be able to communicate clearly, express myself. So I'm going to have crystals that reflect self-expression, okay? I would also have something symbolic to me from my family as well as a gift from my grandmother, a bell. So I would have that sitting there. You getting the point? You make the altar yours. I love to have incense and to have sage around. Something that I can light that will just create that cleansing the energy, cleansing the space, cleansing me, cleansing my aura. I like to have all of that kind of under my little stand, just to have it accessible to me. I always have my affirmation cards around my altar. So those are the things that I like to set up for me on my altar so that they're just easy to access when I'm sitting here and when I'm praying. And let me go ahead and start telling you guys, I was trying to find, sorry, I thought I set that here, but let me just show you a little so you can kind of see what it's starting to look like, okay? So this is just with that fabric, with that picture, with the crystals sitting here. See how pretty this looks? Then you can have music going in the background, and then just, just have it a sacred space like that. Then what I like to do is I personally like to sit here and pray. So what I would do is I would just say, I would have my sage bowl like this. This is what I've been doing lately. And I'll have a piece of yerba, like that's already broken off like this because it's an emotional releasing sage. And then I light it and I say, Dear God, thank you so much for just healing my family and allowing us to just come to peace with what has been. Thank you for allowing me to communicate more and to express myself more. And I just pray, right? And I look at that picture of my parents while I'm doing that. And then I just put the sage, the yerba in the sage bowl and just let it go. Sometimes I'll close my eyes and I will just sit here and cry and use this altar to release, to surrender to God. There are other times when it's a project that I'm really working on and my altar has such a beautiful energy around it because of all the thought that I've put into it, right? All these things on this altar are things that mean a lot to me, that make me smile, that make me feel better when I am using them. So it has a great energy around it. So there are times that when I'm just needing to regain my words and get that clarity and that clear communication before I say something, I may just sit at my altar and breathe and meditate. There may be days where it's been a tough day with me and my son. and he has said something that has really hurt me, and I might just come in this sacred, safe place and say, God, I don't even know what it is to say right now, but I feel lost and broken. Help mend me. This is the place where you surrender, right? But this is also the place where you're willing to listen to God talk to you. You set aside a little corner to make yours, okay? Now, I know that not everybody necessarily wants the altar for just those spiritual reasons. So if you are trying to come up with a way to change your life and you're trying to think of an altar where you sit at this altar and you manifest, a great way to do that is to do a crystal grid on your altar, okay? So when you do that, you would simply just take whatever grid it is you have, however big, however small it is, placing that on your sacred altar. And then each day when you are moving those crystals around, you are making a conscious effort of saying out loud whatever it is that you are wanting to manifest as you're placing those crystals on that grid, thanking God as if they've each happened already. Then when you return to this grid, as you do the grid every day, this is going to be that place where you're reminded of the things you're working on and trying to manifest. So your pictures may be a little bit different. If you're trying to manifest a home, you may have, instead of having a picture of your family, have a picture of the home you're trying to manifest, right? And just work on, when you sit here, instead of using your time for prayer, use your time for really manifesting and asking God for what it is you're wanting, and really asking and listening for the clarity of how you can get it. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay, so it really is just a place for you to call yours, where everything that you're working towards gets a space, and this is the space it goes. I like to use my sacred altar every single day before I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I like to surrender what's on my mind. I like to really talk to God, because I feel like it's a beautiful way to go to bed, right? So that's where I like to do mine. And there are many mornings that I'll do it in the morning too, because it's all about just giving back to me, and really developing that relationship with God. This is also a beautiful place to journal. There are times that I don't even pray, I just sit and journal and give those words to God. Okay, so that's really, to me, what it is. It's just a conscious space that the only thing that's allowed to happen in this space is spiritual work. So that's why it's so important that you protect the energy of this space and you cleanse this space often. You can change your altar as much as you want. So my altar looks different depending on what I'm working on. There are times I'll have a couple altars, like how I have this bigger one right now is going to be more of a family altar, really healing that generational trauma, right? And working on that. And then I might have that little one that is mine, that's all about my inner peace or whatever I'm working on, or my career. So you can have two and even have them side by side. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what I mean by this. So here's what we worked on together. So this is that altar now. You know, now that it's more things on here. These things all mean important things to me. Okay, that feather was given to me by Mari. And the sage was given to me by Chastity as well as Mari. So there's certain things on here that all mean things. And then this other one, so it's got a note that I've written to the universe of the things I'm really working on that I want to achieve. And then I have my crystals on here that would also help me manifest those things. So heart relating healing crystals, then money relating healing crystals. My son gave me this turtle and he bought it with his own money, and I thought it was the cutest thing ever. So when I see that, it brings me peace. So I want to have that on there too. So yeah, you can most certainly have more than one, as long as you're giving them both attention and both your time. So I would love to hear when you guys do your when you guys do your altars, what do you use your altars for? I know that several of you said you already have altars. What do you guys use your altars for? And while you guys are typing those in, I'm going to start talking. So another thing I like to have underneath my tray are my affirmation cards. And then at the end, when I'm done with doing my spiritual work, I like to pull an affirmation card to really affirm whatever it is I'm working on when it comes to surrendering at my altar. Hi, Victoria. How are you? Hi, Olivia, Katia, Nikki, Christy. Okay, so I'm going to wait as she said, hey, Miss Von der Schlinden. So I'm going to wait and hear these because I would love to hear, what do you guys have on your personal altar, and what do you use your altars for? Do you use them for manifestation? Do you use them for prayer? Do you use them for gratitude? That's another one, Tracy. That's a great one, is a gratitude altar. So I know that I have shared this a lot in here, and I apologize, sometimes I'm repetitive, but one of the biggest ways to change your life is to do gratitude every day. And so when I do my crystal grids are mainly centered around gratitude. And so when I am placing those crystals on there, every single day I'm giving gratitude as if those things have already happened. So when you do a gratitude altar, it would be the same concept of what we did earlier. However, what you're going to focus on is being grateful for the things you already have and the things that are on its way. So instead of the prayer, each time when you're sitting there, what you're going to do is thank God, thank the Creator, whoever you believe in, for what it is that you manifested like it's already there. And that can be, that can be your gratitude altar, where you just spend time also reflecting on the day of all the beautiful things that have happened to you and for you, what has been created in your world. So that's another great one, is a gratitude altar. Hi, Christina. So Victoria, do you have an altar that you use? Oh, good. She answered. So this is what she has on her altar. She said, my crystals. Yes, that was another thing I was going to suggest, was fresh flowers. Another thing that is great to have on altars is trying to incorporate all the elements. So some people like to have moon water on there. Some people like to have rocks and crystals, and also they like to, to symbolize the fire by having the incense. They like to have all the elements in there. Some people also leave like a gift for God or whoever they believe in. They'll leave like fruit or something as a gratitude, as a thank you for, whatever it is you're working on to manifest being answered for you. Victoria also said, my Buddha, yes, my goddess crown. And then she answered the second half of this, like, what do you do at this altar you created? And she said, sorry about that. She said, I do my meditations at my altar. Yes, I love doing meditations at my altar too. And gratitude and the frequency of love is always included in my meditation. Perfect. We are on the same page as always. Yes. Tracy said, great idea, Leah. I've got a CT scan on Friday, my cancer check, and I'm always grateful. But great to be intentional with an altar. Yes. And we will, you know what? I will make sure at my altar that I include that same prayer for you and that same intention, that everything be clear, that every single thing be healed in you, and that test just be nothing but just positive, great answers. So I will most certainly include you at my altar. Yeah. And yes. Victoria said, having your candles, I get those prayer candles, and thank you, Tracy, for sharing that with us. Beautiful. I get those prayer candles, and when you get a prayer candle, how I do it is I like to say a prayer and light the candle. Some people believe that you should leave that candle going until the candle burns out on its own, because then it's said to believe, I may be butchering this, but said to believe your prayer is answered once it goes out. But I like to use those white candles to really set the intention of whatever it is I'm working on. And when I light it with an intention. And I just love the way that those white candles look, you know, having those tall candles all around. They're just very symbolic and holy to me. They make me think of the beautiful Catholic temple. But yeah, you can most certainly have um, those types of things at your altar. Victoria said Palo Santo. Yes. Hi, Kimberly. You're welcome, Tracy. So, as you can see, you guys, there are so many ways to make your own altar. It doesn't matter if the only thing that you have is the floor, okay? If all you have is the floor and literally rocks that you found outside, do you understand how still powerful that is? Where the power is and will always be is where the intention goes. Wherever the attention goes is where the energy is going to flow. And if the intention is in your healing and your results and you achieving your dreams and you really have passion towards that, anywhere can be your altar. But the fact of the matter that you're taking time to make something spiritual and make it your own is guaranteed to be successful. So it doesn't matter where you pick this. Like I said, there's so many different ways. Just pick it. See it as a conscious effort that this is the place that you are going to choose. Choose to really connect back to you. Use this place as your me time. And you will feel the energy every time you sit at this place in this space of what it really feels like to give back to you. It will feel like a warm, beautiful hug that grabs your butt a little. And I think we all need that, right? Hi, Kimberly. Long time no see. So anyway, does anybody have any questions on how to build an altar? Are there any steps you need to be reminded of? And for you ladies that are popping on later, feel free to go back and watch. I gave some ways how you can do an inner child healing altar, how you can do when you do a manifestation altar. I've given different tips and tools, but if you guys have any tips, feel free, because I am by no means a pro at this. But lately, what I've been really working on is just surrendering to give myself grace and space and to know that healing looks different for every person, to not compare my healing to anyone else's, and to tell myself that it's okay sometimes to slow the hell down, right? So my altar is really my emotional release altar. When I'm not feeling enough, I come here. When I'm wanting to really come to terms with where I'm hurt or if I am confused, I surrender it here and I pray over that person too. And anytime that I'm having conflict with someone, I use my altar to really pray over their spirit, to pray over the healing for the both of us, and that whatever is alive in them, like the Ho'oponopono, that somehow is alive in me too. So I would love for it to be healed in the both of us, right? So anyway, I could talk about this all day, but I am so grateful you guys wanted me to show you this. And feel free to type in anything else you want, but I'll go ahead and just show you one more time. This is that little art stand, little TV tray that folds up. I've got a picture of my mother and father so I can really remember them being happy and being in love. I've got my grandmother's bell, okay? I've got some pyrite and some crystals that mean a lot to me. I also have my yerba sage, my affirmation cards, my crystal grid, and a special gift, the scarf, as well as the feather. And then I have another little altar, which was my father's, oh, I think my headphones are about to die, my father's step stool. Okay? So, anyway, I hope you guys got the idea. I'm glad it was perfect timing for you, and keep us posted about your results. They will be great. They will. I love you, ladies. Have a fantastic day. Bye.